Hi guys, this is James from CVG and this is our review of Resident Evil Revelations HD. I'm here with Alex Dale who reviewed it. Hello Alex.
Hello everyone.
And Alex, you played this on the 3DS originally and now you're playing its HD remake. How does the jump to the big screen work?
It worked a lot better than I thought it would. Firstly, like the visuals have been sort of up-resed and they look really nice by any sort of standards on the console. It really looks like it was designed for this originally. You can't see any sort of traces on the 3DS. And the controls work pretty well. I mean, originally it was designed around the Circle Pad Pro thing, so it just made an effortless transition to the dual stick controller. So
the gameplay elements, you said in your review that it's got sort of the old scares of the previous games, but also it's got the new sort of over-the-shoulder gunplay. Yeah,
it's a nice fusion of Resident Evil's new and old. You've got the over-the-shoulder viewpoint and gunplay that debuted in Resident Evil 4 and has been a system staple ever since. But if you've played the latest ones, you know that Resident Evil 5 was built around co-op. Resident Evil 6 is sort of up the tempo. This is a slower, more methodical, more thoughtful game that sort of brings to mind like the PlayStation 1 games, you know, where you creak around a mansion. This time you're doing it on a creaking ship, which is one of the best settings I've seen in Resident Evil game for quite some time actually. It's good to see it go back to its roots, go back into tight, blind, claustrophobic interiors.
And how do the scares work? Is it sort of more loads of enemies at once, or have they paced it quite well?
Well, I think part of what makes this game good is its humble beginnings on 3DS, because they couldn't throw enemies at you like they're going out of fashion, which apparently they're not. They had to make everyone count, so when they come at you, you don't have the mobility to get away from them very easily. You've got nowhere to go anyway. It's all tight, narrow corridors, and they soak up bullets like anything. So you have to make sure you shoot in the right positions, you have to think carefully, make every shot count. And the character design is fantastic, as it always is in Resident Evil as well. My favourite is the comms officer. He's this horrible mutant who, with a buzzsaw for a hand, and this sort of like a big Venus flytrappy type mouth, and he can kill you in one hit if you get close. But on his little shoulder, you've got like this remnant of a little of the person you used to be, going like, "I'm human, Mayday," and it's just full of great character design. So it's not like all games, it's not scary in a case of like you're not frightened to walk up to a character model, but it's more just the unnervingness of it and the way that there's such danger in the game. It's so easily to go from being healthy to dead just for a few mistimed sort of moves.
And you say the controls hold up quite well from going from the 3DS to the console versions. What do you think about the difficulty settings?
Well, one of the main things about Resident Evil, and this is one of the things that made Resident Evil 4, for example, so iconic, is that you're rubbing up against the controls. Like this has got the same sort of tank controls, where it's not always you can run around and shoot, but like it's a little bit awkward, and it's awkward by design. And Resident Evil fans get that, you know, and that remains the same. But the 3DS one was designed around the touchscreen sort of infantry, where you had to sort of fumble around for your scanner, which you use to get extra stuff and search your environments for items and swap in between the guns. And part of it was knowing the right time when to swap weapons. Now it's instantaneous on the D-pad. Your grenades and flares are on the bumper buttons, so is your scanner. So in a way it's a lot easier. That's for good and bad. It can mean that the meat and potatoes of the levels are a little bit too easy. The boss fights were actually a bit of a difficulty spike on 3DS, so that's better. There's a new Infernal mode which remixes enemy placement, but that really throws them at you pretty hectically, and if you try to play it from scratch with the basic guns, you're really not going to have a good time because they take more shots as well. I think I would have liked a halfway house between the two, to be honest. That would have pushed the game up into 9 territory. Alright,
so for summing up then, you think it's a great addition to the Resident Evil franchise?
Exactly, yeah. If you've only got a main console and you're a big survival horror fan, but you'll find that like Dead Space 3, Resident Evil 6 sort of push it too far away from the survival horror genre into more action horror. If you think that, then this is a great return to form for survival horror one. It really brings the genre back to its glory days.